South Park has been running for nearly 28 years now, and let me tell you, the amount of stellar quality episodes we've been presented with is amazingly astounding. Seriously, they are at 319 episodes of 22 minutes by now, and a jaw-droppingly huge amount of them are timeless pieces of art. I would go as far as to say that many of these are episodes that will stick in every fan's memory from scene 1 to the very end. It's like you see one out of context frame of any episode and you will instantly be able to tell which episode it is and essentially almost everything about it. At the top of this slide, you can see that I picked shots from 4 episodes, each episode being about 6 seasons apart from each other, but I seriously barely knew where to start with choosing which episodes to represent South Park the best, because there's just that much of a surplus to choose from. And so many episodes are blatant masterpieces for very different reasons. Just look at this. The episode with apologies to Jesse Jackson. It's very well known for being incredibly hilarious. The episode Raisins. It's very well known for being incredibly relatable. And then the episode Grounded Vindaloop. An incredibly mind-blowing episode. Sure, South Park may have over 400 fewer episodes than The Simpsons and 100 fewer episodes than Family Guy, but even so, the difference percentage-wise between how many iconic and memorable episodes South Park has compared to these shows is massive. Don't get me wrong, these two shows have a big amount of standout episodes as well, and majority of all their seasons have their genuinely noteworthy episodes. South Park is different when it comes to this though. Look at this. South Park has had the habit of giving remarkable episode after remarkable episode for numerous periods of time. Just looking at these episode titles on the left will probably immediately make you click which episode is which. And the crazy part is, they were all released back to back. Needless to say, this wasn't just the case with season 8. Of course, being a show that has been on the air for this long, that has been producing content every year since the pilot episodes, not every single one of its episodes was an automatic banger. Some shows, such as Gravity Falls, are great throughout more or less each and every episode, but that show had only 40 episodes to work with. South Park has 8 times the amount. It's no shocker that South Park was bound to have some forgettable episodes, but along with so many more utterly unforgettable ones. That's right, you might have seen a number of best South Park episodes videos on YouTube before, along with perhaps some worst South Park episodes too, but here's one you've never seen before: the most forgettable South Park episodes. Let's get this out of the way. A forgettable episode doesn't equal a bad episode. South Park has had its fair share of episodes that are rightfully memorable for being bad, though the number is few. We will remember these kinds of episodes almost just as well as some of our favorite episodes, but for obviously far more bad reasons. The episodes on this list are all just kind of painfully average, so they are by no means bad for being painfully average. They just feel so middle of the road to the point you rationally can't find the real interest to go back to them every so often. None of the episodes on my list are episodes I would put in my top 15 worst episodes of South Park. I'm totally aware that I can't call an episode forgettable just because it's average by South Park standards. There are many episodes that nobody would label as fantastic, but still definitely memorable because they make for an intriguing story or premise, even if the execution could have been a lot better. These following 12 episodes, on the other hand, couldn't even make it in that category. Basically, they just feel like episodes that will probably make you say, meh, this episode really just feels like an episode out of 300 plus other ones. So the criteria for being a forgettable South Park episode. First of all, it's not discussing some kind of event happening in the real world that's relevant in the media, which yes, many good or even amazing episodes don't discuss any real world event either, but it's still certainly a sign that the episode could be forgettable. Secondly, it doesn't have any scenes nor lines that are iconic in the context of the show as a whole. Some of these episodes might still have some of those, but definitely not enough to compensate. Thirdly, it's simply not engaging. Sure, there might be an original plot that distinguishes it from the rest of the show, but compared to the top 200 best episodes of the show, it's really nothing enticing. And lastly, you don't really hear anyone bringing up the episodes. Now, even after going over those criteria, measuring the forgettableness of an episode is still understandably a bit tricky. What makes it even trickier for me is that I have rewatched every single episode of South Park at least a number of times by now, if not a very big amount. So it's hard for me to say episode X is forgettable all the way through, because after having rewatched it on multiple separate occasions, it does stick in my memory better the more I rewatch it. So I'm still going to try making this list as objective as possible. Of course, as majority of these episodes really aren't inherently bad, there's a chance that there will be an episode on this list that you like or even really like. If that's the case, all I can say is more power to you. I'm not the most knowledgeable person about this show, so don't expect the list to be accurate to perfection. Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't really have it in me to talk about the reasons why I find episode X to be forgettable and do the same for the rest of the list's episodes. The main reason will essentially always stay the same. Yeah, there was nothing or almost nothing that really attracted me. All of it was just kind of mediocre through and through. So I will just show you each episode one by one, and if you have seen the episodes before, you will probably have the ability to understand where I'm coming from with putting this episode on the list. Except for number 1 on this list. I think it will be necessary to provide clarification why I labeled that episode as the most forgettable episode of the entire show. One more thing, you could make the argument, if an episode is released more recently than almost all the other ones, of course it can't be considered forgettable because not enough time has passed for it to escape our minds. As true as that is, I am just going to look past it and still apply the same criteria to the episodes of the most recent seasons. Alright, enjoy! Number 12. Cow Days. Number 11. Chupacabra. Number 10. Prehistoric Iceman. Number 9. Contorting Quintuplet 2000s. Number 8. Let Go, Let Golf. Number 7. Terence and Philip, Behind the Blow. Number 6. Japanese Toilets. Number 5. Pip. Number 4. Christmas Snow. Number 3. Corin's Groovy Pirates Ghost Mystery. Number 2. A History Channel Thanksgiving. And for number 1, the most forgettable episode of all of South Park is Gaza. No, I'm just kidding. Don't worry. Casa Bonita would be at least in the top 5 most iconic episodes of the show. Before we go to actual number 1, let's go over an honorable mention first. Many scenes / moments in season 20. Yeah, this season, huh? Many people aren't fond of it, myself included. I was thinking of putting an episode of this season on the list, as it does have many parts that are just that bit too uninteresting, more so in the second half of the season. But since the whole season is one big serialized story, it's difficult to decide which episode would classify as the most forgettable, because pretty much all of the bottom tier episodes of this season feel very similar in quality or lack thereof. In my opinion, a lot of the government / politics plotline was just uninteresting, as well as the member Perry subplots. Obviously, the fact that the season got so messy was a valid reason as though why it didn't leave a big impact on the average viewer. Then again, every one of its 10 episodes did feature at least some scenes that were noteworthy enough to make it not forgettable enough. So I felt conflicted on putting at least one episode of season 20 on my list, but in the end I decided not to. It still felt necessary to bring it up though. Now, on to actual number 1. And finally, what I consider to be the most forgettable episodes of all of South Park. Number 1 is City on the Edge of Forever. Once again, not an awful episode, at least in my opinion, and I am not saying I have rewatched this episode necessarily fewer times than the other episodes on the list, but is there literally anything about this episode to write home about? The story in a nutshell. The school bus crashes down and the kids are stranded there for about 90% of the episode. While they are in the bus, they keep talking about the moments in the past that didn't happen correctly, and it goes absolutely nowhere. The recurring joke of, now that's what I call a sticky situation because ice cream is literally sticky, it just felt lame, even by early South Park standards. I will admit, it was kind of chucklesome the first time, but after it getting repeated over and over again, the charm was just gone. The Mrs. Crabtree subplot really isn't anything noteworthy at all either. She meets a new man and that's about all you need to remember about that. Not to mention, the last time she was ever mentioned at all in the entire franchise ever was when she died all the way back in season 8. And outside of this episode, she never had an important role in any other episode ever. So that gives it even less of a legit reason to remember her having her own subplot in this episode. What really gave the audience zero reason to remember this episode is that in the last minutes, they very casually just announced that the entire episode was just some dream. The episode already didn't really go any direction anyway, but as soon as the scene came where it was shown that it was all just Cartman's dream, that's what really got me saying, why did I need to watch all that exactly? That was pointless. Honestly, even if the it was all a dream part wasn't included and it all concluded with the whole bus plot having happened for real, I still wouldn't have cared a whole lot for the episode. It was more of a bottle episode than any other episode. All in all, this episode really couldn't be ranked any more favorably. Now look, there's no episode that's objectively and officially the most forgettable episode, just like there's no episode that's unanimously the best or the worst. So you can make your own opinion on whether you think this episode actually is the single most forgettable one or not. You're free to disagree with my list in general, but I think I've proven my point for why I think it deserves to be number 1. Thank you for watching.